It's 2 a.m. Your phone is exploding with PagerDuty alerts. Your Lambda functions are throwing errors. Your RDS database is rejecting all connections. And your CEO just woke up because the checkout is down. In the next 3 hours, you'll lose $47,000 in revenue. And the worst part, the fix is literally 3 lines of code. I'm going to show you the single most expensive Lambda mistake I've ever made and how you can avoid it in the next 10 minutes. Let me take you back to 2021. We had just migrated our order processing system to Lambda. Everything looked perfect in development. Our code reviews passed. QA signed off. We were ready. Then Black Friday happened. Traffic went from 100 requests per minute to 5,000 requests per minute in 30 seconds. AWS Lambda did what it's supposed to do. It scaled. Within 60 seconds, we had 1,000 concurrent Lambda functions running. And then every single Lambda was opening a new database connection. Our RDS instance had max connections set to 150. We were trying to open 1,000 connections. Simultaneously, 850 functions immediately failed. Orders were dropped, customers couldn't check out, and our revenue graph looked like someone drove a car off a cliff. Here's what our code looked like, and I bet yours looks similar. See that? Create connection on every single invocation. Let me explain why this is catastrophic. When a Lambda function is invoked, AWS creates an execution environment. That environment includes runtime initialization, your code loading, handler function execution, response sent, and then the environment freezes. It doesn't get destroyed. Here's the crucial part most developers miss. Lambda execution environments are reused. If you invoke the same function twice within a few minutes, AWS will often reuse the same environment. So even though the environment is reused, we're creating a fresh connection every time. But it gets worse. Under high load, Lambda will create new environments to handle the traffic. Each environment runs the handler. Each handler creates a connection, and suddenly you have 1,000 Lambda environments creating 1,000 connections to RDS. But RDS max connections is only 150, resulting in 850 connection refused errors and massive revenue loss. Here's the fix, and it's embarrassingly simple. 3 critical changes. First, the connection variable is in global scope outside the handler. Second, get connection checks if connection exists before creating a new one. Third, no connection end. We keep it alive. Now watch what happens. One connection, multiple invocations, problem solved. In practice with connection reuse, we went from attempting 1,000 connections to actually using about 250 connections under the same load. Still over the 150 limit, but manageable. But what if you need to scale beyond 150 connections? What if Black Friday traffic hits 1,000 concurrent Lambdas? This is where RDS Proxy comes in. RDS Proxy sits between your Lambda functions and your database. It does connection pooling automatically. It handles 1,000 plus Lambdas easily with connection pooling and IAM authentication support. It costs about 15 cents per vCPU per hour, which is roughly $11 per month. That $11 per month saved us $47,000 in 3 hours. Best money I've ever spent. Quick best practices before we wrap. Set Lambda timeout less than database connection timeout. Lambda 30 seconds. MySQL wait timeout 300 seconds. This prevents zombie connections. Use connection pooling libraries. MySQL 2 pool for Node.js or SQL Alchemy with pool size 10 for Python. Implement health checks. Check if the connection is closing and set it to null if needed. Monitor connection metrics. Use CloudWatch database connections metric and alert at 70% of max connections. Consider reserved concurrency. Limit Lambda concurrency to RDS max connections divided by 2. If you have 150 max, reserve 75 for this function. Set up alerts. Trust me, you don't want to learn about this problem at 2 a.m. from your CEO. Let's recap. Never create database connections inside the handler. Always use global scope for connection reuse. Consider RDS Proxy for high-scale applications. Monitor your connection metrics. If you found this helpful just like this, hit subscribe and drop a comment if you've been bitten by this bug before. I want to hear your war stories. And if you're about to deploy Lambda to production, do yourself a favor. Check that connection code first. Your on-call rotation will thank you. See you in the next one.